great one coming up from our friend bleeptrack. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.
You submitted your talk to the CFP, and I saw your website with all the cool stuff that I'm sure you'll be talking about in this talk for sort of procedural generation for the physical world. I'll just let you take it away, bleeptrack.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. So many cool talks already. So yeah, a few words about me. Hi, I'm bleeptrack. I'm an artist, full-time artist and creative technologist. And I have way too many side quests in my life. So on the side, I'm also trying to finish my PhD, where I'm researching co-creative drawing tools. And yeah, but my artist practice is mainly in generative art and procedural generation. And especially, I really, really enjoy making physical things out of algorithms in some sort of way. But you might also know me from fabulous coffee brewing shot that I post now and then to social media, or for my other side project, which is renovating this 1993 electric car, very weird vehicle. It's now allowed on the streets. So if you're interested in anything of that, follow me somewhere on social media. So, but now into procedural generation. So I enjoy making a lot of generators, not so much in the direction of games, to be honest, more like as a standalone project, as casual creators maybe. And this is one project of mine. This is called Overflower. So it generates mandala flower-esque shapes. It's your typical generator. You have some parameters you can set. You can randomize a few things, and then have fun making your little flower icon to use for whatever you want. I usually open source my things, and I like to share them as websites. So it's very accessible to people to just enjoy it and have fun. And my first thing that I tried to make something physical was stickers, in fact. And it's very fun to make stickers. You can show off your variety. They can be very big. You can stick them on laptops, on notebooks, on your phone, on everything. They're very nice to show off your things. And just nice things to give away. So that was the first thing I tried. I also tried this with different generators. Like this one is called Bugs and Beetles. I also had a Twitter bot at the time when Twitter was cool, running with that thing. And it generates bugs. It might have some bugs in the code, hopefully not that much. But mainly it's there to generate like fun bug shapes. And I also made some stickers with these, and it's really neat to also like change a bit of the size and play a bit with the medium. Just have them on a table at an event and give them out. I also have some generators that are more on the, let's say, maybe on the activist side of things. There might be some confusion about what's wrong with NFTs. It's nothing with the file system. It's about NFTs. So just a heads up on that. So yeah, I made a generator that just like expresses my anger on several things. And I also printed stickers on the very angry fingers and gave them out on different events. And they are always sort of a big laugh when people find out very angry middle finger stickers lying around somewhere. And fun fact, if you try too hard on your things, they might end up in a museum. So I had some prints on shirts and caps that ended up in a museum exhibition about protest for whatever reason, but it can happen. But there's one thing with stickers, and that is if you do procedural generation, right? You want to show off all the cool things that can be generated with your generator, and you're optimizing your generator to have like that super large variety, and things still should look interesting. And now you want to make stickers, so you send them out to a manufacturer, but you can't tell the manufacturer, well, make me 10,000 different stickers because I want to show off my variety. This is not going to work. Like he will write you back very angry emails, I guess. So what I ended up doing is just make my own stickers. And it's not that hard. You can just buy vinyl sheets to print on your inkjet printer. This usually gives you very nice results already. And then it's very easy to make them sort of UV and waterproof by just buying some UV protective foil, and then you need to scrub that on with a squeegee. So there is a bit of manual work involved, but it's very doable. And I think the most exhausting part in a way is cutting out the stickers. You could do this with a machine. There are like cutting plotters out there, like these little Cricuts machines, or maybe the hackspace near you might have a little plotter machine you can use. But to be honest, for myself, I find it super relaxing and soothing to just cut my own stickers. And I have them, like each sticker I have in my hand, I can take a second look at it and enjoy the creation that came out of my code. And I also usually do a little signage on the backside, so it's more like an artist piece and so forth. And yeah, then now I hand them out like business cards, more or less. So it's very nice opportunity to show off your cool things, I think. And also if you lay them out like at a booth or at an event, and you tell people each one of these stickers is unique, so choose the one you like best, they will be like super excited and take 10 minutes to grab that one sticker that they really think is the one that matches them best. So this is like, yeah, I think it's a very, very nice incentive to show off. And you can also make stickers digitally interactive again. For example, with this project that I did, this is called Tap for Art. So it's a regular sticker, square shaped, but it has an NFC tag inside. So you can tap it with your phone and it will open a website where it generates like a geometric little animation form shape thing. But the fun thing is the NFC tag has an ID. So each tag has its own unique ID that you can use as a get parameter in the URL. And you can also use a scan count. So the tag itself can keep track on how often it has been scanned already. So you can make this whole series of generative art pieces that count on these both seeds. So I use the UID seed as mainly like as a color and base shape seed, and the counting number I use to just shuffle the shapes around and make a new shape into the series. And if you tap these stickers, and then you can, like here, you can just scroll through the series and like explore the scans that already have happened so far. There's just one thing: if you are buying NFC tags, be aware that there's different ones. So you really need to choose the one that works best for you, because I also screwed up quite badly when I bought a roll of 1,000 stickers. There was a few $100 and I didn't read the description properly. And the ones that I got are like the super regular ones, and they won't work if you stick them on metal. But the Tap for Art series was intended as a street art project. So it should have ended at like street signs and lampposts and stuff. And they are not working there. You can't read them out again. So make sure to buy the proper NFC tags if you do anything with NFCs. Well then, so much for stickers. If you have a generator that can make like a patterny texture shape thing, then I can really recommend getting it printed on fabric, like this one. This is also nowadays super easy. It's more basically like getting a photograph printed. It's like a manufacturer, you upload a pixel image, you can choose which kind of fabric you want, and yeah, just get it printed. And also, if your generator is maybe not doing a texture-like thing, maybe you can arrange your generative outcome to be more like a texture. This is what I did with the overflower generator, for example. I just made like a flower bed, kept the colors the same, but each flower head itself is unique. And the fun thing with fabric is you can cover huge areas super easily, because the fabric in one direction is more or less unlimited on the roll. I guess maybe 50 meters is the limit or something. And in the other direction, you are at about 1.5 meters, I'd say. Sorry, I don't know how much that's in yards. You can convert yourself, I guess. Yeah, so fabric printing is super fun. It's not that cheap. It's not that expensive. And you can make a lot of fun things with that. So for example, this summer, I did sew a lot of unique little generative pouches. They are created from a generator that is called interlaced. So it makes like very, like inspired by Celtic knots, maybe like knotty shapes where it looks like some cables and some plant parts are intertwined and tangled in some form. And I did send these out for my Patreon. So this is one way that I finance my art. I have a Patreon running, and twice a year I send out unique generative goodies to people that support me there. So the pouches were this summer's goodie presents, mainly because I really, really needed a pouch for my pencils. So fabric is really nice. You can also make clothes out of the fabric, of course. So this is like the same generator. I just printed it super large, also in a different kind of fabric that is more suitable for sewing t-shirts maybe. And my idea was to have some sort of cape, gown, whatever thing that I can just pull over when I'm at events. So I will be very easily to spot at events and have this iconic piece of clothing on me where people say, that's bleeptrack. I don't know, want to talk to her. And this is the result. I think came out really nice. And it is really now my typical, piece of clothes that I usually wear to events. Very nice. And it's machine washable. So it's like, it's super easy to maintain. That's about fabric. Let's talk machines. We can do other fun stuff with procedurally generated things. I think one thing that had a bit of a renaissance in the last few years is pen plotters. Like, this is a very modern type of pen plotter. Again, this is the overflower generator in some form that you can see here drawn. And a pen plotter is like a little machine you can attach to your computer, plug into your computer, and you attach a pen, of course, also, and then it will draw a nice image. And there's just one caveat: you really need path data. So you usually want to work with vector graphics. Like stickers and printing fabrics doesn't really matter. In the end, it's just some sort of pixel image you need for that. But if you go into digital fabrication, you really, really want to work with some sort of vector graphics or some sort of path data. It doesn't need to be SVGs, can be a lot of different types. But the machine needs to know where it's going to draw, and pixel images won't work for that. This is the very modern type of pen plotter you can buy nowadays, but there's also the older types from the 80s. They were basically the machines you had before your inkjet plotter to plot, let's say, large building plans for architecture, for example. And they sadly became quite expensive again now that they became popular again. But they are really cool. Like if you can grab a used one, the chances are super high that you can use it with Inkscape out of the box. There are nice plugins that allow you to talk to the machines. And they have awesome features. Like, for example, they have electrostatic beds. So you can press a button, electrostaticity, what's the English term, will come on, and the paper will just stick to the drawing bed. So you don't need to attach it in some flimsy way. It will just stick. That's super awesome. And as you can see in this video, on the left side, there are places numbered 1, 2, 3. So this particular machine even can exchange its pen for different colors, for example. So it has awesome features that a lot of modern pen plotters wouldn't bring you. So if you, for whatever reason, come across pen plotters, definitely grab one. I usually bring them to events. So this was, I think, two summers ago, maybe, an event where I took little snapshots, little photographs of people, and plotted very, very abstract forms of a portrait. It runs through a neural net in this case. It's not that typically procedurally generated, but it runs through a neural net that I trained on my own scribbles. So this was part of my research, basically. But the pen plotter is awesome because it's not only showing off your procedurally generated pieces, but it's also a machine that people really enjoy watching, and it will draw them in. And then you will have nice chats about what you are doing, what this is, what the machine is, and stuff. And people, I think, also really value the drawings more if they are drawn by a machine. It takes some time. So I don't know. I think they can feel the effort. They can see the effort that goes into these pictures. But you can also go full circle. For example, with this project, I took these generative portraits and images and rendered them back into video. So to be honest, that's not that physical, but a part of it is physical. So I took videos where I'm holding like an empty piece of paper into the camera, grabbing a still from the video that I shot, and the Blender rendered my procedurally generated image back in. That takes the still as a reference. So you can also go full circle, make some physical things, and make them digital again in the end. So pen plotters are very, very fun, but I have a machine that I currently like even more. And now we come into the realm of winter decoration things. So I did a little snowflake generator a few years ago. And I think snowflakes are just awesome, right? They are one of the nicest procedural systems that nature has to offer, I'd say. Like, snowflakes are just the iconic, the iconic procedural thing to do. So, yeah, so I made vector graphic snowflakes, and I put them on my laser cutter. Laser cutters are awesome, right? You can never have enough lasers. It's just awesome to watch it cut out things. And what I really enjoy is you can work with nice material like paper or carton or wood, and it's material that I prefer over like plastic things in a 3D printer. No hate on 3D printers, also cool stuff, but I prefer to have like more naturally materials to work with. So paper is awesome. I did cut them out, and yeah, that's the result. So it was just like a test thing for some winter decoration and get some nice snowflakes. In the center, sandwiched in, is a tracing paper, and on the outside, it's like icy blue carton paper. So nothing that special. But you can also do a lot more fun things with laser cutters. So I was once inquired to do some batches for an event. It was an event about a bug bounty program, so it fit quite well to the Beatles generator. And yeah, I adapted the Beatles to work with the laser cutter and make nice shapes for the laser cutter. And I made a lot of batches. In fact, I made 200 batches, more or less by hand. Obviously, it was cut by the laser cutter, but there's still a lot of manual work involved to assemble the things and clean them up and stuff. And oh, that was really quite a lot of work. But as you can see, you can really start to, you can really play with the medium. In this case, the paper, like a thick paper, you can not only cut it, the dark lines that you can see here, they are not printed, they are engraved or etched, basically. So you can set your laser cutter to half the power you need to cut, and then it will just like etch or like darken the parts of the paper. And you can also lighten parts of the paper. That's like super fun. There's like different engraving techniques where you can also lighten up the paper. Very fun. And yeah, what I did is have this dark anthracite paper and have some colorful paper sandwich, glued that together to give these nice batch shapes. And I also used the patterns that emerge in the wings to also engrave on the paper to give it more like interesting background patterns. And people really enjoyed it. Everyone got its own unique little bug badge that really felt, very worthy, very coastly in some form. So it had a very, very nice touch to it. And I always also wanted to go 3D in some way. And I have to admit, I have no idea on like building 3D models or anything. But I have a lot of training in making 3D paper stuff from my childhood, maybe. And I always thought, man, I really would like to have some sort of paper lantern that I can light up in winter. Like when it gets dark, I'll really like to have some night lights out there. So I thought, let's make generative paper lanterns. And this is what I ended up. The project is called Wish Upon a Star. So as you can see on the left side, you have the 3D model, and you can set some parameters about the amounts of spikes you want to have, some sizes, some dimensions. And on the right side, you get the 2D shape that you can cut out to assemble it yourself. And I also made some experiments and put it on a laser cutter. At first, I made some very wrong mathematical calculations, so I redid the whole thing several times. But in the end, it worked out and gave some very nice shapes. But as I said, there's still some manual process to it. Obviously, the assembly as a whole, but if you cut on a laser cutter, there might be parts that are not properly cut through or that stick to the paper in some way. So there's a lot of manual cleaning up still. And then I also glued some tracing paper on one side to give, to seal it up, but still make it translucent enough that I can light it up. And the assembly is, it's quite lengthy. I think assembling one star is more than half an hour. So it takes some time, but for me, it's a lot of fun. Like I enjoy doing paper crafts a lot. So yeah, I think they came out really nice, and this is what they look like in the end when you light them up. Very fun. I did like one little RGB LED on the inside, and you can like control it by a smartphone and set the color and set some patterns so to make it look like fire or like a candle is inside. So it's like very cute and a lot of fun. And of course, you can make it on laser cutter, but what I also find nice for this project is it also works if you just print it on your regular Inkscape on the regular inkjet printer at home, and just cut out the regular paper and assemble that. It also, and light it up. It also looks super nice. It doesn't have to be like expensive laser cutters that you might not find at home. You can also just use it on a regular printer. My next thought was, I mean, 3D things is cool, and making things accessible is also something that I really strive my projects to be. But I really wanted to bring the generative process itself to the physical world in some form. And yeah, I was thinking back and forth, and what I came up with is making a stamp set out of 3 stamps that fit together like dominoes, like tiling. I mean, obviously, you are the professionals when it comes to tiling, I think. So I made some patterns that tile nicely together, and each stamp set consists of 3 stamps, triangular shaped, and the sides fit together. And there's 1 stamp in the set that can connect 1 side, 1 that can connect 2, and 1 that can connect all 3 sides. And then, of course, you can arrange them in the ways that you enjoy. So putting them on the laser cutter looks like this. In the laser cutter, you can just engrave rubber parts. There are especially laser cutter fabricated rubber mats that you can use to make stamps. So that's nice. Just engraving creates a ton of dust, and it takes forever, but the results are really nice. And on the backside, I just used like regular crafting plywood that you can get in every craft store, I guess. And I did not forget to flip the image for the stamp side. I'm very proud of myself that I did not forget this for this project. Here's some different examples of these stamp sets, what they look like. So the 3 stamps fit together, but they are not interchangeable between the sets because the connection parts are different. So each step is contained as is. They work together, but you can't interchange them between sets. This is not working. And then, of course, I also had to try it. And it was a very and unexpectedly nice process to just sit there with your paper and stamp some patterns and think about how you want to arrange the stamp, if you want to rotate it, how you want to close this shape that gets created. So yeah, I can recommend this. It was very fun. It was also one of the Patreon projects that I did send out in the end, and I made, I don't know, 30, 35 maybe stamp sets. So it was a lot of fun. And I really want to do some more in the future. I think they were really fun. So stamp sets are very nice. I think interactive, participative thing to do to show off how procedural generation might work in some physical form. All right, these were methods that I think sort of easily accessible. I know laser cutters are also not that accessible, but most tech spaces nowadays have one, I'd say. So if you look around, you might get access to one. But now 2 things that are maybe not that accessible, but also very fun. And one is this one. I wanted to make a garden chair for myself some summers ago, and I thought, oh man, I really would like to have this grown with some nice patterns, and I really enjoy nervous systems. You might like them. They make also very cool procedural physical things, or things that come out of a simulation. And I think they, some time ago, mentioned a paper that described how you can super easily simulate vein growth in tree leaves or in leaves overall. And I found this so cool. This gives such a nice pattern. And I thought, yeah, I'm making a chair out of that. So I re-implemented the paper, threw that on my DIY CNC machine, and heavily underestimated how long it takes to mill this out. So I grew the pattern in a square shape twice to have the backrest and the seat part grown in this pattern. And I think only one of these took 10 hours to just mill. And as you can see, the machine that I have is like so DIY. It's not sucking up the excess wood on its own. You need to do this by hand. So, oh, geez, this took forever. But I think the result is very nice. And it also ended up in an exhibition, to be honest. That was for my solo exhibition. And I used it like multiple years. Very nice. And it's also regular plywood from a woodworking store. So nothing special. And at first I thought about maybe I also want to do the chair legs out of this pattern. But I realized, oh man, with the simulation part, I can't really control how the pattern will look like in the end, or at least it would have been like a lot of overhead to code to make this controllable in some form. And so I scrapped the idea after I realized like this is not going to work. Either I need to make a lot of manual bridges on the wood to make it more sturdy, or yeah, just maybe just not going to do this. And what I also heavily underestimated is if you mill out a pattern that more or less maximizes the surface, you have a maximum of surface to sand down in the end. So there were all these little nooks and caveats and stuff where I had to stick sanding paper in that and sand it down. This also took several days to finish the whole thing off. So if you are, for some reason, into woodworking and really want to replicate this chair, I have the files on my website. Feel free to make one, but just so you know, it will take forever. So let's go to the last example I have with me. And this is this little generator. It generates planet shapes and stars and some swirly backgrounds. And it belongs to sort of a unique project, maybe. And I always wanted to learn how people are creating PCBs, like circuit boards, not for computers, or like for Arduinos and stuff. And I thought, like, let's do, for my first circuit, whatever, let's make it procedural. And it should be a keyboard where you can button press, in this case, the planets. And it should register these presses and then act as a keyboard that you can program. So let's say, make the volume louder, make it mute your microphone or whatever you want. And yeah, so this is I wrote the generator for, and then I sort of tried to recreate the traces in KiCad. This was the first rendering, and then I did send it out to a manufacturer, and this is what I got back. And I think they came out really, really nice. But again, it's a bit like the stickers. You have the problem that PCBs, they get very, very cheap if you buy a lot from that look the same, that are the same. But if you are doing like procedural stuff and you want to show off your variety, you want to have unique pieces, so you need to find like the path in between to make it feasible. So what I did is I ordered 10 per design. And also, if you look at the top part of the boards, you can see that they are the same, like the traces itself are the same. This also makes it nicer or easier to manufacture. And I also tried to play a bit with, with the material itself. And I'm not sure if you ever looked at a PCB. It's like a sandwich. You have this fiberglass center, and you have copper on the top and bottom. Then you have coatings and stuff you can print on. And if you remove the copper, it gets super translucent. You can just like shine light through that. So I thought this is very cool. So the stars should be very shiny. So you could put some LEDs on the backside maybe to let it shine through. But you can also make relief structures. So if you let copper, if you leave the copper in some areas where it's not needed, but just for decoration, you get like relief structures, and you have like a very interesting texture-y feel on the board in the end. So these are PicoPlanet boards that I made, and I still use them now and then to control some things on my computer. Very fun. So yeah, this was my very, very colorful run through a lot of different projects. And I know I had a lot of videos and they are a bit choppy usually on the stream. So if you want to rewatch the slides, you can find them on roguelike.bleeptrack.de. And if you want to reach out to me at some time, you can find me as bleeptrack on most social media sites. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was rad. It's so cool to see what you're working on. And I know I will be one of many people joining your Patreon after Roguelike Celebration. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.